everyone, welcome back to Rolling Solo. My name is Adam Smith. This is going to be kind of an abstract unboxing for you guys because this isn't for a brand new game or anything like that. This is actually the second wave portion of the Kickstarter from Arius Games called Sword Sorcery. This is wave number 2. So for those of you that either didn't have a chance to back the game during the Kickstarter, this stuff, the only value this unboxing will give you is just an idea of some of the content that they'll be releasing in the form of expansions going to retail in the near future. Now this game did not take much time, at least the base game, not what you're seeing here, but the base game basically took no time really after Kickstarter delivery to get to retail stores. So you can go purchase the core copy right now, but this Wave 2 content adds a bunch of expansions in for those of us that actually jumped in on the train of Kickstarter when it actually was available. But regardless, everything that you're seeing here should be available in retail. There may be a few things that you can't get at retail in here because they're Kickstarter exclusive only. For that type of stuff, I'm not going to be going through the list to tell you what is and isn't. This is simply just to show you kind of what's inside of Wave 2 in terms of extra content. But there might be some things in here that are not going to hit retail, and I'd heavily advise you go check out the Sword Sorcery Kickstarter, because there it will specify which items that came into this particular unboxing that you may not find in retail. So let's get right to it right away. It's a small box. It's not too big. I mean, it takes up a decent amount of space like a normal board game would, but it's flatter and probably about an inch or so off the ground, so it's not a really massive box or anything, but it's because a lot of this isn't miniature specific. So all the miniatures all the way through the storybooks that were added into the game during the Kickstarter, all here, the ones that weren't part of the main storyline. So it's going to be like the lair for the dragon and some other extra storybooks as well. So basically this is all the cards and guides and rule books that kind of accompany that miniature content that was sent originally in Wave 1. So let's go ahead and crack this thing open. So as you can see kind of in the bottom there, it even specifies that this is from Kickstarter Edition Wave number 2, and you can see there, Vastra Slayer. Sword Sorcery, so we're going to crack this open. There's nothing to show on the back. And this is the first thing we see. So we've got a box of good stuff. Now, what is this? This is going to be interesting. So we got some ooh, I'm not too familiar with this, and you're going to have to forgive me because it's been a bit actually since I've gotten this back to the table. But this one here looks like we've got, okay, I don't think, if I remember correctly, we didn't have these cards in Wave 1. So these are just basically your character card for the bear form and your character card for the wolf form. So these are two very important boards you're going to want to have. So they give you both of those, and of course some information on the back for each of them. Very cool artwork as always for this stuff. So those two things are there. That's great. What else have we got here? Looks like we're going to be going into mainly Vastra Slayer and Darkness Falls, it seems like, because I'm seeing those books behind here. So we'll take a quick look here at Vastra to see how this works. Now this is the multiple-headed dragon, if I remember correctly, and I haven't actually gotten to this battle just yet because this is part of this particular content in Wave 2. So, at least I believe so anyway. So we've got, let's see, I don't know if one of these is for two different things or not. We've got two of them. So let me just flip these over. This is the monster ground stands. This is the monster ground stands. Oh, whelp. So you got whelps here, and then Vastras himself. So maybe one of these, if I know this correctly, or at least if I'm thinking about this correctly, I believe one of the heads essentially is Vastras himself. Maybe, and then the rest are whelps, which is just additional, so they all behave differently. So you've got full AI on these cards for how these are going to handle. So this is Vastras himself and all the content for him in terms of how to play him, and then same thing for the whelps all the way through. Now on the other side of this, we got the aerial stance. So the difference between one side and the other is the first one here has ground stance, and on the back side of this is aerial stance. And the same thing for this one, ground stance, and on the back, aerial stance. So you got all your stats for that as well. So again, if you're picking this up in retail, you'd be getting this stuff inside the Vastra Slayer expansion box. But it's all separated out for Kickstarter just because of the way they did this printing. Next one is, it looks like a pack of other characters. I'm not going to be able to speak to these because I'm assuming these are all coming from these new stories. So I can't give you too much information on what I know about either of these. But this one here is called War Moon, and it's a monster evolution 2. We've got Alien Queen monster evolution 2. We've got Hellspawn Demons, Smoke Form. So these are going to be filling in all the AI for, again, the miniatures I received. I remember this guy from wave number 1, and now I'm starting to remember these other ones. Count Delve and Undead Lord. We got all these miniatures in the last wave, but obviously weren't integrated into this story campaign until this wave here. And then, of course, their different forms. So Ethereal form for the Undead Lord. Count Dev has a Vampire form. Hellspawn has a Flame form. Alien Queen has an evolution 1, so you flip it over to 2 when you're ready to evolve, and this one has 1 on this side, and then it would be 2 on the other side. Pretty cool. We'll put those off to the side and move on to the books. So this is where you're going to get some actual story content. We know Book of Secrets from the first wave, there was 1, so now we've got 2 more to add to the pile. Again, I'm not going to open these up and show you anything inside of it because that's huge spoiler territory, but I will show you that these books are fairly thick. There's quite a bit of content in there and story behind this. So this one here, and it's quite long, runs 57 pages long. So that's a decent amount of content there in the Darkness Falls expansion. So that's one booklet you get from that. Vastra Slayer is just a tad bit thinner, but not by much. But this one still runs 35 pages, although it has a little bit of ads in there on the backside for Galaxy Defenders, which is another fantastic soloable game from Ares Games. Again, Book of Secrets, I won't be showing you anything in that because that is spoiler territory major. The next 2 things that I believe are going to show up here in tandem will be the storybooks for both of the 2 different expansions here that are adding in. Now this book, if I remember correctly, I'm reminding myself here, the Book of Secrets, yes, it has all the waypoints and checkpoints that you run into as you go through. This is going to be your storybook, so this is the Darkness Falls storybook. So as you can see, some pretty cool artwork there. So I'll give that a little bit closer zoom. And again, remember my digital zoom is actually zoomed in, so I'm going to bring this back out so we get the crispest look, or the crisp look at the art and storybook Darkness Falls. Now this one, there's not too much to spoil, but again has a very similar layout to the other storybook that we've already been familiar with. Of course, there are spoilers in this one too, because you're talking about things that move into Act number 2, Quest 1. So this is going to follow essentially after Act number 1, and this one here runs, let's see my pages. These are much larger pages though. It runs about 18 to 19 pages. So the 18th and 19th page are kind of taken up by additional ads, but the rest is all content. So that's pretty cool. This one here is a storybook for Vastra Slayer. Again, this feels like the same thickness in terms of the Darkness Falls one. But again, this is for the Massive Dragon that's going to be added to the game. Very cool, same type of format, huge story up front. This is something I really enjoyed with Sword and Sorcery, is how much they get into their story content and stuff like that to make you feel like you're really a part of the story itself. So 15 pages on that one, and some more Galaxy Defenders. That's something actually I've been really interested in picking up. I've seen some people recently locally selling this one. I might actually pick this up at some point and do a Galaxy Defenders playthrough. I think it's a fun looking game, and I think if we understand the Sword and Sorcery system, the Galaxy Defender system was created just before this, and this game was actually based on a lot of mechanics from that Galaxy Defenders game, so it'd be kind of fun to maybe play through that too. But I don't make any promises until I can potentially obtain one. But yeah, same thing with this. Huge legend, huge storybook. That's going to be great. Now this is a really big, cool thing to get into a wave of a Kickstarter because it resolves a lot of confusion. You're going to get a Sword and Sorcery Wave 2 components list. So you can actually go through and make sure they've actually included every single thing that you were supposed to include from all the stretch goals and everything. So you got the legendary components for Act 2 and all that kind of stuff. You got some arcane portal components over here, revised cards. This is really important, and actually I had a few people mention this to me on Facebook that there were some actual revised content. I wasn't expecting that, so they'd made some changes. So don't forget when you go through this particular Wave 2 that there are going to be some cards you're actually full on replacing. It's not just all additional new content being added in. So they've made some tweaks and things like that, which is great to see that they've covered that inside the Wave 2, so not separately. And again, you can go through, it's all numbered out as to what should be in what. So Darkness Falls components, I'll be doing that to make sure nothing is missing. On the back side of this, it's Sword and Sorcery Wave 2 optional components. So this is kind of stuff that essentially I would have, I believe, in the one that I got, but essentially here's again another list. So it's got all Vastra Slayer add-ons, add-ons for revised cards for different heroes that again will become expansion packs in the retail version. So keep a good reference. That's a great reference for that stuff. These ones right here I'm not familiar with, but they look like kind of similar to the reference sheets from the Act 1. So Darkness Falls Falls rules has a new set of rules, maybe how to use different tokens in a different way. Maybe it's exactly the same, but this is going to be the reference you're going to go to when playing through Darkness Falls. So you're going to have a two-sided sheet for that. Shows your heroes, your enemies, what they all do. Some of the tokens, of course, that were included in Wave 1 that were not used at all, maybe now used in these particular expansions, so a great reference. This one here, Vastra Slayer rules, again, same exact idea. More content, more symbols to memorize, or at least to reference, and a great reference sheet. I always appreciate it. I've said this many times before in unboxings when a company does this so that you can avoid having to have the rulebook right beside you. Now we get into the actual content in terms of cards. So you can see here they've kind of whited out a bunch of areas that they don't need to fill in, but the rest is just going to be stacks and stacks and stacks of cards. So essentially you're going to get a deck of cards that looks like background talents for particular heroes maybe. I don't know if these are additional or they're, so they could be in addition to what I've already gotten, or they could be for heroes that didn't have any cards in the first place and just had the miniature. And that's going to be most of the case here because, again, like I mentioned earlier, Wave 1 included all the miniatures, so some of the miniature content didn't come with cards yet. So I think that a lot of this is going to be filling in those blank spaces. We got some powers here, some talent cards, and of course even some more items it looks like mixed in as well. So that pack card is going to add a bunch of content in the form of those. And we may actually do a quick rifle through here in a second section of this video for those of you that are interested in seeing the cards themselves. For now, I'm just going to show them in their packs. Again, these are events. These are very important things. This is one of the coolest mechanics within Sword and Sorcery. If you're not familiar, this is going to occur as you go over checkpoints and go over certain spots in the story. This is a revolving deck of cards. They're not revolving, but basically like a timer built into the dungeon crawl that's going to throw different events at you and cause different things to happen that you're not going to be able to expect and stuff like that. And I think that's really cool and unique. So again, even some character cards in here as well for Icarus and stuff like that. So it even looks like we've got a few new abilities. So if I remember correctly, maybe some of the Kickstarter goals actually added some extra cards per the main characters, because Icarus, I believe, is a main character from the base game. So I think there's some additional ones for that, and it could be Kickstarter exclusive for that stuff. I'm not sure. Again, double check on the Kickstarter itself. More plate mail armor, and I'm guessing there's more item cards mixed in this one too, and some more events. So again, all these events are going to tailor to the new content that I've already talked about. Darkness Falls, Vastra Slayer. These events are likely going to increase or to supplement that content. There might be some in here that actually go in and give some extras to Wave 1. I'm not sure about that. Okay, right here we got Hidden Blade. So again, the cards are really cool. I've always really appreciated the artwork and even the style of the cards themselves. The other thing that's cool is these are mini cards, and the text on them are always printed extremely visible. And a lot of cards, especially like I'm looking at Imperial Assault, for instance, they have very small text. Sometimes I have to get very close to read them. I don't have bad eyes at all, but it's still small. These are nice. From distance, you can even see them quite clearly, so I like that. Again, more event cards. It's kind of a mix. I'll have to open it to see. This one right here, we've got Bounties. That looks like something totally new. Maybe that's a campaign mechanic. I could be drawing a blank here. The bounties might have existed in the first, and I'm not remembering. But regardless, that sounds kind of cool. So basically, you can potentially discard a certain number of enemies, and you get rewards. It can be like soul gems and coins and all that good stuff. That sounds pretty cool. This side here talks about the Hollywood Armory rules. At the beginning of each quest, randomly draw 3 Hollywood Armory cards. These cards can be purchased by heroes at any time. Cool. So it's just basically going to give you a bunch of other items. And if I remember correctly, in the Kickstarter, there were some kind of cool looking items that kind of were like mockeries of things you would find in a Hollywood movie, I believe. So that might be what they're referencing there. I'm not sure. Could be Kickstarter exclusive. May not be. Then we've got 3 big old decks of tarot-sized cards. So these are big cards. I've got some sleeves from Fantasy Flight for these ones, which are kind of handy. So we got some demonic cultists here. These are guys you're going to want to probably kill off. The Dark Raiders and the Redhead. So it actually looks like the big bad Vastrus himself may have his own card, but then all the different heads of the beast may be a different card, because it even says here, in each time phase roll a certain die, regardless of the number of killed Vastra's heads. So yeah, each one of these heads are going to be basically their own unit. So when you go to fight this thing, seems to be like it's going to be quite the battle. On the opposite side, we've got, let's see, this is Draconian Monster. Okay, some extra cards or cards for them. Some skeletons, undead skeletons, and then flying critters. Of course, there's a ton of cards in these, so I'd have to unpack them to let you know all the content inside of those, and maybe we'll do that in a separate section of this video. But for now, this actually is the unboxing. There's nothing else in here. So this is the kind of thing that this content could probably, I don't think I'll need this box, likely fit back in the game box. I might be able to find a way to get it all in. I'd rather not keep extra boxes on the side, so I'll probably turf this. But if it doesn't fit, this is actually a fairly solid storage solution, quite small, and actually on my shelf I have just enough space to easily get that in there to lay on top of the box if I need to. So I really appreciate the fact that at this point now I actually do have all the available content for Sword and Sorcery. That's really cool. Can't wait to dive into it more. And for any of you that actually have that content already, what do you think of Sword and Sorcery so far? For those of you who've been playing it for a while, at least the first core box, are you enjoying it, or do you want to? Are you looking forward to these expansions and grabbing them in retail so that you can add to your collection? Are you thinking that something else is better? Did you end up selling it? Did you keep it? What did you think of the story? That type of thing. Again, remember guys, no spoilers though, so if you have any opinions on the end game, try to keep away from that so that we don't ruin anything for anybody that's never played before. But if you want to give general thoughts on the mechanics and stuff like that, and what you liked and didn't like that way, please feel free to fire them in the comments below. I'd love to hear it, and then I can chime in as well. Well, I thought I'd actually get into the cards themselves, maybe rip them open and show you guys exactly what's kind of coming inside of these expansions. I can't specify which goes with which expansion or how these are organized. Some of them are going to be replacements, as I mentioned previously, so you're going to have to bear with me as we kind of rip through these, but at least you can see the artwork and all that kind of stuff. So let's kind of zoom back out so we can get the best quality when we actually take a look at the cards themselves, and we'll go through each deck deck by deck. I've already pre-cut the edges so that I can get into these quickly, so you guys don't have to go through the pain and suffering of watching me try to open these, but I do have to pull them out of the plastic. That's like the worst of it, so it's pretty good. So let's jump into the very first deck. So the first one here is for the Gambler. So again, I'm not going to go talk into specifics about what the abilities are on each card, but I'll just give you a quick look at them. You can pause the video, take a look, and make your own deductions about which ones you like and don't like. Got the Elite, the Colossus, the Savage. Oh, there you go. Dreadlord. I don't know. That's pretty cool. Again, I don't know when of these are going to become ones that I've already got or replacements for ones I already have. That's going to be the fun part. Like I have Samira. We've already played her in the playthrough. Some of these ones might be the ones that are replacing, but I'm not too sure. Or they could be just new additions, which could be really cool. So a bunch of them there, some actual abilities, lots of cooldown type abilities. So that's one. That's actually the smallest of the mini card decks, but that was one of them. Going to the next one here, we've got, oh man, I got a lot of cards here to go through, that's for sure, in order to organize all this stuff. So here we go, full plate of armor, scale armor, studded leather, I think that was, yep, mystical robe, healing potions, ropes, throwing hammers, a couple of those, some bags, elven quiver, holy water, God's altar, slaughtered lamb. I love the artwork in this, like it's so cool. Resurrection, flail, crossbow, Butchler, skeletons undead, all the different ranks, all the way up, dark raiders from green to red. Sorry, I just gotta adjust my hand here so I don't dump them on the ground. Succubus, green all the way up to red. The werewolf monster, again, same thing. The Death Knight. Ooh, don't want to be involved with him too much. It's like a boss, I believe. Corrosive weapons. Oh, that's on the floor. I'm going to have to get that later. Flying. Soul Drain. Charm. These are vampire form cards. Law God's Blessing. Cool. Where's Gift? Lots of gifts there. All kinds of gifts. And then chosen by the gods. So we're going to put this deck back and move on to the next one. So, man, I'm going to have to definitely spend a little bit of time. I think somebody else mentioned on a comment on my Facebook that it took them 2 hours to get through this, to basically organize it. I could see how that could happen, though. Because, I mean, you typically wouldn't be doing all this organizing while you're just focusing on it solely. So it's very possible there's a lot here to reference, double check, make sure you have them, all that kind of stuff before you continue on. But it might take 2 hours. It might not. We'll see. Come on, there we go. So this is interesting because Icarus I already have cards for him. So I'm thinking these are like new additions to the decks because they look different to me. So that's really cool. So if these are Kickstarter exclusive ones, I'm not too sure, or they could be an expansion exclusive. So we've got a whole bunch of those going all the way along. We've got the Glass Vial, the Ex Mortis, Avenger's Blade. Some of these are really cool. Shadow's Claw, Earth Enforcer, Thunder Strike, Elemental Staff, Acid Darts. These are traps. Avenger's Plate. There's some more armor. Amulet of the Gods. Some books. Some rings. Let me organize again. Icarus Boots. Pouch of Crowns. Bag of Crowns. Lots of crowns. Rubies. Love rubies. Soul Shards. Red Relic. Healing Elixir. So this is really gonna add a bunch to what I already have, which is really gonna like shape up the decks quite nicely. Give us a lot of variation in what we can potentially find through the campaigns. And of course some actual event cards, of course, pertaining to a number of events that are going to occur within these expansions. So we're halfway through the mini cards. Go ahead and open up this pack. I'm going to have to keep these all in a box, I think, because it might take me a bit to get through them and to reference them and ensure I've got them all. This one again starts off with full plate of armor like the last one, two decks ago did. Scale armor again, reinforced leather, mystical robes. So it might be a similar pack. Oh no, there's a few different things in there. Tower shield, I don't know if that's the same. No, there's some different stuff in here for sure. So the cards that go along, there's the white dragon. Oh, these are heads of the monster. The blue one, the red one, fighter cards, forged by war, so talents, a bunch of those. Whole bunch of those. All kinds of them. And then some more Icarus cards. Oh, some more cards per hero. Worm's Egg, a Lance, Abyssal Pit, Lava Flow. Cool, this stuff is awesome. I can't wait to just throw this in. This is going to be great. Some of this stuff, of course, can go thrown in right away. And other stuff is going to pertain to particular things you'll find throughout the quest. You can see the last deck for the events ended in 30. So now we're moving up to 35. I don't want to spoil too many of those because that's kind of like, those are events and they're kind of spoiler territory, so I'm just quickly ripping past those. Second last deck of mini cards. Jeez, I did not realize how many cards. I mean, when you actually see them in their packaging, it doesn't look like much, but man, these things are thick. There's quite a bit here. So we've got the Hidden Blade, Crimson King Shield, Fool's Gold, Phoenix Talon, Moon Scythe, Inferno's Tongue. That sounds pretty cool. Man, some of these weapons are amazing. They look amazing. Dreamcatcher, Force of Nature, Phoenix Down, Bone Blade, Bone Armor, Snow Troll Tooth, Bloodstone, Seafin, Ancient Coins, Compass to Nowhere, Astral Halberd, Fire Resistance Potions, Bags, Lockpicks, Elven Arrows, Ifrits, sorry. Treats. These are not a treat. You don't want to eat those. Nightwalkers. These are going to be all the cards pertaining to different ranks, different individuals that have been added into the campaigns that weren't probably in the first storybook. Glacial Weapons. Some stones. Black. These are some traps. Glacial Ray. Red Viper. Elven Boots. Poached Crones. Green Relic. Pearl. Astral Cape. Frost Tooth. And then a bunch of spoilerific event cards. Oh, sorry guys. I almost dropped my deck of cards there, so I accidentally smacked the camera. Hopefully it didn't jar you too much. Alright, last pack of mini cards, and then we move into the bigger tarot cards, and then that will wrap it up. So here we go is this next one. So this one is the bounty cards that I was talking about at the end of the last portion of this video. So these ones I'm not too familiar with, but they might be new additions. I don't remember these from the first wave, so these are really cool. They're going to give you bounties of killing certain ones to get certain things. Yeah, because on the other side there's other bounties. I don't really know where and when you get those, but it sounds pretty cool to me. Bounty rules, mercenary post, tomahawk, katanas, fighting capes, spears, diggers. Of course you get a bunch of different enemies and stuff like that. Flying critters, crimson nightmares, a bunch of those. These are going to be some cards or some... there's another one on the floor. Some more of these cards to beef up the heroes. More abilities and powers. Oh my goodness, so many of those. Dragon Order Plate, that looks pretty crazy. Wow, some of these are super nice. Gremlin's King, Sword of Atlantis, Kingmaker, Mortar's Blade. These are like heavy duty. Bravos, Vampire Redeemer, Dark Lord's Maze, Staff of the Grey. Death's Gift, Pandora's Bow, Goliath. Wow, that's so many cool things in that one. Alright, so that's that. Into the last 3 decks. These ones are going to be specific to AI cards for the different enemies. So really, this is going to be kind of a going over some of the different enemies basically that we've seen. So I'll give you the nice color sides. We got like the red head, the blue head, the green head, the white head, and then these different enemies and their different levels, of course, right? So this actually specifically talks about Vastra Slayer. This is Vastra Slayer 100%. You got all the Vastra's heads, and then of course his little, these guys come in the expansion, and when they hit retail, these will be together. All the different ranks. This one here, these probably are specific to the particular story. I imagine these would be part of the story 2, I guess, storybook 2. And maybe the Darkness Falls one. So skeletons. You got succubi. These are ones that probably wouldn't have shown up the first time. Werewolves. Death Knights. Dark Raiders. So all the different ones for them. And lastly, we've got the final AI cards, or monster AI cards for this. This is the thickest pack. Flying Critters. Actually, I'll show you the backs of these ones too, because the artwork's pretty cool, so you can recognize them. So the Cultists there, different levels. The Nightwalkers. The Ifrits, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Crimson Nightmares. They look precious. The Diggers, the Flying Critters. Alright, and then of course on the other side is the actual AR cards for each of these. They get progressively stronger. Very interesting. I'm really looking forward to diving into the next story for this thing. So first off, my first task, because this is it. That's all the cards there I've gone through. Didn't obviously stop necessarily any of them for any extended period of time, but there were some spoiler events in there and stuff I didn't want to give away. But I'm going to have to probably take about an hour or so, maybe more, to not only, I sleeved all the first wave ones, which I do sleeve sometimes and not other times, but in this particular case, because I'm playing this one, then I do sleeve them. So I'm going to sleeve it to match, but then I'm also going to go through and find out which ones are replacements, which aren't, what's new, what's per each story, and of course thank the makers of this particular game that they've broken it all out on these component sheets. It's really going to help me to narrow down what goes with what, because otherwise I'd be sitting here and it'd probably take me 4 hours to figure it out. So anyway guys, hope this was helpful. For those of you that are waiting for your Wave 2 content to come in the mail, that is what you can expect. In terms of anyone who missed out on the Kickstarter, don't worry. A lot of the content here, the bulk of it, the meat of it, is going to be going to retail in the form of expansions, so you'll be able to pick that stuff up there. There was some Kickstarter exclusive stuff, which you can double check what you missed out on at the Kickstarter, but I really don't think it's that much content at all. So they did a really good job of giving some exclusives without completely taking away game content. So again, check that out for information, and thanks again for watching. As always, keep on rolling solo.